Hey Fit Fam, how you doing? I know you're not used to my voice at the start of these videos. Josh and I have been talking about switching up the style on these. I don't know if you want to kind of weigh in, doing this a little bit more conversationally, maybe eventually down the road as well, kind of asking for questions from you,
sure,
providing feedback. Yeah. We're trying to make this more functional, I guess, is that the right word for members in terms of what you might get out of the next 10 to 15 minutes, as opposed to, you taking 30 minutes out of your day.
Our hope is that this helps you understand what we're doing for the Strength Club coming up this month so you get the most out of the workouts. We know there are questions that come up from people, and in the future, we want to use this as a way to answer those questions. So in case, again, like Paul's saying, if you don't want to say it in front of other people, or I know people sometimes worry that they're going to sound stupid when they ask a question. And to be fair, you do, but we're used to it. But no, it makes sense because sometimes your question might help me understand, I didn't realize you didn't understand that thing. I need to address that as well. So please ask those questions. So that way, this is what the videos are for. Hopefully, a lot of things I say here make sense and help, but there might be some things we miss. And going forward, if we can turn this style into something that you guys enjoy and can follow along with, we want to keep using it in order to help deliver that information. Right?
And I think, too, going forward, too, there's even things where we could look at, your even more in-depth looking at exercises, right? Where like in the moment we can show more. We could walk out here into the gym. Like it's just more, I think this makes it more accessible. So that was kind of my thinking, and I think you agree with that in terms of this feels to me better. If you disagree, let us know.
Exactly.
I feel like going forward, this will help you feel confident in Strength Club and feel a little maybe even more connected to maybe why exercises are chosen, what we, month to month, what are we looking for, progressions, and, kind of all those big issues.
And I would say if you feel like you miss having my face in the close-up describing everything, make that comment. Let us know, because we'll go back to it. I know that's a big selling point for a lot of people. And it's been a curse my whole life, the money maker. But we deal with it. But hopefully, let's have fun with this, and let's see what we have to edit out as well as we go along.
So perfect. So we're getting into this is April Strength Club. I'm gonna again, just like we did. I told you before, the images, videos are going to be going. You're not missing anything by not seeing us. So we got April Strength Clubs.
Sure. Those
are up now. Obviously, I'm walking you through it.
Yeah.
We always kind of start the same. So let's just work through this. We know hangs.
So let's go. We'll start big picture. We saw about we start with what we call ramping, which actually stands for range of motion, activation, movement, preparation. Which is essentially let's stretch and warm up and get some muscles working for us, so that when we go to harder work, we're not going into it cold. And we always start with the hangs. And I know that. It's a very simple exercise, and we spent a lot of time talking about it, so we talked about not spending as much time talking about it, but the thing I'd like to emphasize here is some people dislike the hangs, and there's almost a lesson to be learned there. And it's not like we design exercises to torture people, but there's something you've said for somebody being willing to just do this thing that is kind of boring and sucks for 30 seconds, right?
Sure.
We don't do 60 seconds. We don't do 2 minutes. It's not how long can you hang here. It's used at 30 seconds. It's great for the shoulder mobility. It's great for grip stake. So there are physical attributes, but it also is kind of like that moment of this is not even the hardest thing you're going to do today. So if you are unwilling to accept doing this, you're going to have harder. But not that our members are like that, but you go, okay, I just did some hangs.
It's a good trigger to start.
Yes, it's a nice, gentle, easy way to say, we're going to get going.
Yeah.
And then we usually are going to pair that up with something that obviously doesn't work the grip, that gives us either a stretch or we like core activation work.
Sure.
This month, we're going to combine it with our forward lunges, which is great for stretching out the chest, the hip flexors, but also getting some activation of those muscles as well. So we can work through range of motion, but also it gets your heart rate just a little bit. But again, it's going to be moving a little bit better. But it's important that we focus on tempos there, which is like we're not trying to get a bunch of reps in. We want good form. We want to feel the stretch. We also want to feel our muscles doing the pulling when we do the forward lunges as well, right? So it's not just a big stretch. We want to.
Can I ask a question on this? So on that forward lunge, I know I've had people ask me this before too, so I'll just, on that forward lunge, should you feel a pull? You know what I mean? Should you be coming so far forward the TRX are pulling you, or are you just kind of, it's there for support? Do you know what I'm saying?
You want to feel a stretch. And depending on, now we also want to make sure you're moving well. So it should be, the stretch should be only so far that you can still pull back.
Okay.
Right? Because sometimes if we stretch too much, one, it weakens the muscle if you hold it for too long. But also, if you go with a really deep range of motion where you're actually losing the stretch but just feeling like, oh, I'm moving further, then those muscles aren't ready to pull right away. So you do want to kind of balance out. But it's a good question because you want to feel like you're in control.
Right.
So yeah, I like that combination for a lot of people. And then the second one, we added in Captain Morgan slides this month. We've never done these in Strength Club. Not most of the time it's because it's an exercise that works great for boot camp, but it is going to be a great way to kind of get those hamstrings working for us. Now the thing is, for most people, they're going to want to start with a small range of motion because at first our hamstrings are pretty, they can be temperamental. So we want to start small and then see, hey, how far can I go with control? And what we'll do is instead of doing like down on one side and back on the other, we're just going to do one leg for the full 30, and then we'll switch to the other leg for a second set, and then we match up with slide outs. So because they're there, so we'll take those two sliders. You need to, it'll be the single arm. It almost looks like a single arm push-up. And pulling back in. Those that can try with both hands. The thing about the slider, similar to the wheel, is you want to make sure you're in control the whole time as you're doing it. You don't want to feel like this could slip out from under me at any point. So it's better to start small. What we're typically looking for as they're doing is that we don't want the bowing of the lower back. We don't want to see the hips hitting the floor, but the chest is still up because that's a lot of stress on the lower back. We want to think plank first, add a little bit of motion. We'll get a couple sets of all those, and then everybody's gonna be pretty good to go, right? So we got the ramping out of the way.
Was that A and B, or was that just A?
That's just A. Want to talk about B first?
Sure. Yeah, I just figured we'd go right.
So that's fine. So then on B, we're matching up the hangs with the halos. Again, this is great for shoulder mobility. So we're going to go half kneeling halos on these. One of the things I want to try with people is as we're working halos, again, it's not about being heavy, but you do want to find a weight that actually feels like you can feel it working as opposed to a light weight that you can just fly around.
So should it pull slight? Like I always say, like should it pull your arms? You know what I mean? Like it's almost like it gives you a little. Okay. Perfect.
You want to feel a lot of times when you're behind you, you're going to feel a bit of a stretch through the triceps and the lats, right? Because they're pulling through here to pull down, and that's where you want to be thinking, I'm trying to touch the kettlebell to my shoulders. Right? That's what's going to give me that deep rotation here. And again, what we want to be thinking about is everything else is not moving. So the torso's the pillar, and the core work comes from not letting your body do this. And then we have rollouts because people have asked for them. We weren't originally going to do rollouts when we talked about this, but as I was looking to do some things and some members asked, it was like, okay, let's keep it going for people. So we have rollouts or fallouts, of course, with the TRX. And again, this is a pretty intense core exercise. So we're matching this up with our half kneeling alternating rows because that's going to give us a chance to kind of let the core relax, but also keep doing some movement. We'll get a stretch in. Half kneeling alternating rows are one of my favorite, activation exercises. They just hit a bunch of muscles at the same time and very easy for people to do. They make for a great second exercise for an intense exercise, right? So putting those two things together, we're going to get a lot of core work on this ramping, on this workout here. But I think the combinations are going to be great. So then obviously after we do our ramping, we have some total body work that we're going to do. I don't think we have new exercise this month. It's just kind of different pairings. So one we're bringing back is our dead bug with the dumbbell alternating press. This is what we call a long chain exercise, which just means it takes some time to do it, and there's a few things happening as you're doing it. So it's not just, it's a long chain would be kind of like a total body exercise where some things are happening at different times, or you have to stay focused on what you're doing as you're working it because it's more complicated than just push it. So we're not going fast and we're not going heavy. 10 reps on each side is going to add up. So don't go too heavy. Focus on how you're feeling as you're moving and feeling comfortable with, and the coaches will be there to help you with that. And then we match that up with ski erg because this is a chance because these long chain exercises, they're going to get your heart rate up a little bit, but then we can get some power work in by hitting that ski erg, some hard pulls, heart rate's up, give yourself some time to recover. All right, so we got those on workout B. We actually, not so much a long chain exercise, but an integrated exercise. So we have our anti-rotational reverse lunges. So we're going to use the slider for this one. Now we also have the option of doing just a split squat with the anti-rotational split squat, so you don't have to use the slider. The reason we like the slider is because it really does force more muscles to do some work. And what's great about this is we get some anti-rotational core work in, and we get that lower body working. We're also going to get some, when we talk about core, it's not just abs. We also want to think like everything that's not a movable limb. So everything that's not our legs and arms is our core, except for our head, right? But so when we're working some of this, it's the engaging the lats.
Right.
So when you're doing the pale off press, when you're holding it, you want to think I'm like wedged in. You should feel like
it's almost a pull down.
Yes, like you're squeezing your ribs with your arms to stay nice and rigid, so that if somebody bumped into you, they would be the one that moved, right? So that's what so we can pull those shoulders out, and these are the little things that are going to make people get stronger faster when they embrace that idea. Not always easy, because they have a lot of things they're thinking about as they're doing these well. Plus, but we're only going to do 5 on each side because they are an integrated exercise, and they do some work. We have some other things we have coming up in the workout, so I'm not trying to wear you out, but we're going to pair that up with the crawl. So again, any variation.
Screw those legs.
This is well, it goes a little more upper body, but yes. Again, we're only going to do a couple sets, and it shouldn't wear you out. For everybody's going to be different. So you could do army crawls or slider crawls if you wanted as well. Don't force, because I know people have issues, or this is tough. I'm not saying crawls are easy.
100%.
But they're so effective, and they're pretty fundamental that they're great to practice. So I know not everybody loves them, but after you've done a couple sets, you feel better about yourself as well for doing them, and it will make a difference. So before I don't want to get too far off, but I want people to embrace the idea of resting between sets. The goal is not to have you exhausted. The goal is to be able to do a thing well that has that heart rate elevated for a minute and it comes back down, and you think, hey, you're getting better at this thing, right? So let's talk about the strength.
Yeah, you're moving into a different strength. You switched it up this month. I think it's something you do a lot with your personal training, like
yes.
Like with my wife, and you do this a lot more. So I'm excited for this. So yeah,
I've tested this, or not test. I guess I've been working on it with members. We've done it in the past, but we're doing it a little bit differently this time. But I've been working on a couple members who do personal training, so we can experiment with some things a little differently, and it's worked pretty well. So the idea here is we're going to be doing some 2-rep strength sets, but the caveat is we're going to be working with that weight from last month that we are doing for 5 reps, right? So for example, we're going to use a pendulum press this month, which we try. It's different than the single arm alternating press, slightly different, but same idea of a single arm press. Anybody who would rather do it just a straight overhead press is fine. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with a weight that you could do about 5 reps of, which should match up with your single arm alternating overhead press or thereabouts. So let's say it's 25 pounds. Now I'm only going to do 2 reps, and then I move to the next exercise, and I have plenty of time, plenty of energy left in the tank. Then I'm going to go do my chin-ups. And again, I'm going to use the assistance that I was using last month for 5 reps, but I'm only going to do 2, and then the same thing for our split squats or rear foot elevated split squats. 2 reps at a weight that I could do 5 reps of. Now, what's going to happen with this, the idea behind this is called alactic training, which is the idea of getting the work for the muscles that they're getting better, but without working so hard that lactic acid builds up, which is what happens when you spend too much time with that elevated heart rate as you're training, or you stress the muscles too much. So this is going to allow us to kind of keep getting more reps in without feeling tired. So the beauty of this is we're going to have 20 minutes. We're only doing 2 reps, and the goal is to get as many sets in as you can in the 20 minutes. But again, coming back to the recovery, you should never be out of breath before you start a set. You should be able to speak the Pledge of Allegiance without having to take extended breaks. Now, you get to the point where it might be like, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. You got to take help, but that's okay. But if we get to the place where so the talk test, and what's great about Strength Club is people are talking so we can start to hear it. And we joked about that today when Lauren was working out, because I could hear as she was talking, oh, she's okay because she can talk. It makes a big difference. Now, we're going to try to get anywhere from 6 to 10 sets in. And so you're going to get somewhere between 12 and 20 reps in of a weight that you would typically get somewhere between 10 and 15 reps in anyway, right? But what we're going to do is, the great thing about this is, every time we come around, there should be no worry about having to do another set. Because one of the hardest things in a strength training set is when you're like, I still have to do one more of those, right? Yes, especially when it's like 10 or 5 heavy reps or 10 reps. Here it's like, I'm going to do 2 more. And I'm going to do, and you might actually find yourself at the 20-minute mark in the middle of a round and go, I'm going to get the next 2 sets in anyway because I want to just, things like that. We have the finisher to really, burn up all the gas in that tank if we want to. We want to use the strength training to practice reps, because we need to think of strength training as a skill exercise as well, right? When your form is better on exercise, you're going to be stronger.
So do you kind of apply the same principle that we usually do, that if they get to, I guess my question is, how do you see a progression in terms of like,
sure,
you know, like, okay, let's say I'm doing 30 pounds and, you know, whatever it may be. When do I know it's time to move up?
Okay.
Because like usually we use 5 and we go, I can do 6, 7, 8.
That's a good question.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like
So a couple things. The one way is on the last set, if you can do more than 5 reps with that weight, then it's too light. Take the weight up 5 or 10 pounds. But you want to wait till the last set. I'd rather take the weight up a little bit, move a little bit slower, sure, and still get the heavier work in. But at the end of that set, at the end of the 20 minutes, most people are not going to feel exhausted. They're not going to feel that physically, which is awesome.
Right.
Not being tired after the workout is a sign that at least you didn't overwork.
Sure.
Because it's still, you are better off to practice the skill of it, right, and still be recovered. Right. Now, this is a workout.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say not being tired.
Yes.
I'm
no,
just
absolutely.
saying, like, I'm just, you know, I can see people being like, oh, I don't feel like I got anything, you know, whatever it may be.
Well, that's why we have finishers.
Right.
So that, you know, if it's the feeling gassed, that's what because that satisfies people, right?
100%.
But here, I guess it is wrestling with, don't make this too hard. Now, I've even seen it with Lauren at times where I'll remind her. Now, I don't say, hey, you need to slow down. I'll say, we have plenty of time.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get, I'm going to just go to the next one. Because again, when they're only 2 reps, you keep thinking, I can just do the.
Just go.
Yes, but remember, give yourself a second. I love this because, again, I love the idea of just watching people be able to talk, not feel tired, be able to encourage each other, and still be like, hey, I got a bunch of sets in, and never did I feel like I don't want to do another set. This sucks, right? Because that's what the more enjoyable it is, the easier it's going to be for people. And workout A, we have chin-ups, split squats, or rear foot elevated split squats, and then the pendulum press or a single arm overhead press here. And then in workout B, we have our dumbbell bench press. Now we were doing alternating last month.
Flat.
Yes, this is still gonna be a flat bench, but both hands same time. And this is where you'll probably be able to go a little bit heavier than what you were doing for alternating, but don't force it at first. Then we have some hip bridge rows, which we haven't done in a while.
We haven't done those in a while. Yeah.
Right, so this is where the setup's important. We're going to get set up right under the anchor point for this one. And remember, this is just a deep row. This is where we can modify to make it heavier, but you'll get to use your legs as well on this one. So you want to get set up so your shoulders aren't like touching the floor. You should almost be swinging on the TRX. And then you're going to pull yourself up, trying to touch your thumbs to your chest. Now that's a good gauge there, again, for a lot of people. If you can't touch your thumbs to your chest, it's too heavy.
Sure.
You need to make it lighter. So if we need to, you can actually use a glute bridge to help for a little bit of momentum. But I would say if you, with your feet underneath your knees, which is like the traditional setup, if you are struggling to get those thumbs to your chest, you're going to turn around. And you're just going to do as deep a traditional row as you can. Sure. Because again, you are going to get more out of 2 quality reps that are easier or scaled back than you are going to get out of half range of motion reps.
Sure.
Because we want to get stronger here. So it's a chance to practice. And again, this should be an exercise. The weight should be enough to do 5. So remember, if you can't touch for 2, it's too heavy for even 5, sure, right? And then we have kickstand RDLs, which again is a pretty simple exercise. 2 reps, it's all in the setup again. We're gonna do 2 on each leg. So same thing with the split squats from workout A.
Correct.
It's a set on each leg each time you come around. So technically there's 4 sets in each round, right? So upper body, lower body, upper body, push, pull, and then the legs. So you'll do 2 sets on each, or 2 reps on each leg. And again, this is where you want to challenge yourself with the weight, but it shouldn't be a weight that's hard for 2 reps. It's a deadlift weight that's hard for just, hard for 5 reps. Right. And then you get to practice your form. And this is where I want to be able to, again, because only a couple reps, back in alignment, finding the right position to start the pulls from. But again, it just gives you that time to get a bunch of reps under your belt. So, and then the goal should be anywhere from 6 to 10 sets in that 20 minutes, which I think is, the 6 is going to be doable for everybody.
That sounds like a lot. I can see people not watching this thinking 6 sounds like a lot. It does. It's not. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's not. It doesn't take a lot of time.
No, it won't take much time. Again, it's going to be in the setup and figuring some things out, especially the first week. So by weeks 3 and 4, everybody should be getting 10 sets in or taking the weights up just a little bit. But again, the slowdown should not be from this is so heavy that I need more time to recover.
Right.
That's why the pace should all be the same, so we can match it up like you were asking earlier. That last set, try 5 reps.
Right.
Then we can take it up next set if we need to, or if it felt good. Let's keep working on it. Work at your pace. You don't have to worry. If you're one of those that's getting 6 and somebody else is getting 10, that has nothing to do with you. You're doing your thing. Next week, can you do 7 or 8? Let's just figure it out as we go along, right? So the whole workout has to be, my philosophy starting a workout is, there's movements that we're looking to do, there's concepts and principles we're gonna try to hit on, and they can come in different forms, but we wanna try to get all those in, because if these are the only 2 workouts you do this week, I want to make sure we hit on everything, and ways that, again, different ways each month, but so that we're getting all these things in. So again, push-ups I feel are an important exercise to practice, so we put those into the finisher. And workout B, we have chin-ups in the finisher, because again, another opportunity to practice. We don't do a lot of chin-ups in strength or in boot camp, mostly because you guys there in strength club understand why. It takes too long to get some of those things set up, but I want you to have that opportunity here. So we got those mixed in, and obviously the Echo Bike is just so efficient. But we also know that members that challenge themselves on the bike, they get a little faster and they feel more comfortable, because then the thing that was hard for 10 seconds isn't as hard anymore. Now, hey, let me try for 9. It's cool to see people think like, hey, I'm gonna try to get to that single digit or down to 8, right?
100%.
The carries, like you mentioned earlier,
Yes.
Again, fundamental exercise, comparable to the hangs in the sense of what they do as far as what they strengthen, but also what they teach you, which is in life, you have to carry some heavy stuff, right? Sometimes internally and externally, but the lesson is still the same. Carry it, and when you need to, put it down. I like to think of this as one of the most fundamental and functional exercises we do.
100%.
Because you have to be able to carry stuff, and part of it is also in a carry, you have to pick the thing up. So there is actually a rep there of picking it up too, right? There's a lot that goes into it. We're gonna go down and back on that, and that is one where challenges over I always tell people, it should feel like this is fucking heavy.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's not heavy enough. You should have the feeling of like, I'm gonna have to set these down, and then you slowly set them down if you need to, but maybe you find out I don't have to set them down, right? So I know they're not fun, but they're similar to the crawls as well, in the sense of there's something to learn from them. There are benefits to it besides it just being hard and having to carry it or hold there. There's stretch, there's muscles we get work there. So they're beautiful exercises. Like you're saying, with those finishers, nothing new or crazy. Again, just an opportunity to take simple things that you know how to do well and then do them savagely. Like make it as hard as you can and get better from it, right? We found that around 2 minutes, great amount of time for somebody to do the work, but also have time to recover before they do their next set. As you keep going longer with any group of exercises, the recovery is going to be longer, or you'll see your output diminish. So if you get back to the bike, let's say you did the bike in 10 seconds. If you get back to the bike the next time and it takes you 20, either the work you were doing was too much or you didn't have enough time to recover. So we can use, this is why the numbers are important at times. You want to know this, because somebody could feel bad, like, man, I only did 20 seconds. Like, because you didn't give yourself enough time. It's not because you're weak. Yeah, to do it in this amount of time, yeah, that's too much. But if you give yourself the amount of time to recover, eventually you will build and grow, progress to the place where doing them faster isn't the same work, right? So that's how we can use some of those things. Don't rush on any of these. The recovery, and we have some members who do awesome with the recovery. They think I'm joking sometimes, but I will call out Jennifer Crow. She's awesome. She will take that, and she gets stronger. Coach Lynn does a great job, I think, as well. We have a lot of members that do, so I never want you to think like, hey, if we see you sitting and breathing, we're not thinking, what are you doing? You should be working. And because strength training is, when you're doing the work, it'd be the ideal situation is I have 100% energy. Now I do this thing as hard and as well as I can, and I'm gonna have plenty of energy again. But we also need to speed that up to increase the adaptations, right? So you do need the stress to accumulate. We're finding that sweet spot, which we have found is awesome to see so many members getting stronger as they're doing these things. And the biggest thing is just consistency. These workouts are not designed to be done like every once in a while. You won't get the same result from them. They're designed to be done a lot, very often. In fact, you could do the 2 rep stuff is designed to be done. You could do it 4 to 5 days a week and not worry about overexerting yourself.
Sure.
We have boot camps and other things to mix in, so that's why we kind of do it this way. But, and I think that this one is going to be a great one because, again, if you work out with people you like to chat with, this is the I get to chat during this workout.
Yep.
So it's going to be great. So maybe some members that are in boot camp will decide to do that.
This is, like we said, this is a trial. We gave it a shot. Let us know what you think. If you
give us some
like
feedback.
This kind of more conversational style, we tried to keep it short. I think we failed, but I want to say it was probably close to an hour, but I can edit this down. We'll see what happens.
They expect it.
Yeah, they expect it.
So.
But I mean, just let us know. I always like to say we want to make things functional.
Yeah.
Right? Like we want you to be getting what you are getting out. Like,
yes.
If something isn't working, then I don't want to spend my time doing it. Right?
Yeah, we're not doing this because I just want to talk. I could, don't get me wrong, and I do. We do. We're doing this because we're hoping it's going to deliver information that helps you. So if you have more questions, right?
Yes.
Please, we will actually be able. The questions will help us
make this better,
make it better, and also hopefully clarify and give us more feedback. Oh, here's some things I need to address as well. So
and
please,
things you'd like to see. You know what I mean? Like show us this exercise. That helps us get better, and that helps you get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thanks, Fit Fam.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I'm excited about this workout. Hope you guys are too. So let's have an awesome month. And again, give us as much feedback as you can, and let's get the most out of it. All right? Love you. Bye.
Cool. See you.